Win by Barca today over Bayern Munich, 4-1. The curse is finally over, and this is just an absolutely amazing win for Barca tonight. After not the best experiences playing against Bayern Munich in the last few years, obviously, I don't think I even need to mention it. Um, but after all these games where we've been just not having the best results against them, it has been an absolute relief today to to be able to finally get revenge on them. Four goals, right? About time. 4-1, and I got to start by giving a shout out to Rafinha above all other players. Rafinha is a player that has been unfairly criticized since he arrived at Barca. A lot of people saying he's not good enough. This offseason, Barca wanted to bring Nico Williams, who would have relegated Rafinha to the bench potentially, right? I mean, it would ultimately depend on whether Flick wanted to do it. But a lot of people didn't really see Rafinha as starting, starting, starting 11 material for Barca. And I think Rafinha this season is just shutting up all the haters. His stats have been unbelievable. And today, three goals, just being absolutely clinical. And even though I have to congratulate the entire team for the performance, if it wasn't for Rafinha, I don't know that we win this game. Because at least as of the 60th minute, I'll have to check if that was the case in the end of the game. But by the 60th minute, Barca had shot on target four times, and all of them had been goals. Four out of four. And Rafinha's goals, they were not easy goals by any means. The first one, he dribbled Neuer. The other two, just with players all over him and just clinical finishes from outside the box. Just unbelievable. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about tonight in this amazing 4-1 win over Bayern. And I want to point out that Barca actually had six players from La Masia starting today. Players that have been at Barca since the age of 14 or younger. At the goal, Iñaki Peña. On defense, Cubarsí and Balde. On the midfield, Casado and Fermin. And in attack, Lamine Yamal. Right. Barca's starting lineup had in attack Rafinha, Lewandowski, and Lamine Yamal, the usual attacking trio. In the midfield, we had Fermin, who's returning from an injury. He'd been away, I think, for a couple months or so. So we had Fermin playing behind the striker, and then Casado and Pedri in the midfield, which is what we had seen lately. So in that double pivot. In defense, we had the same defense we've been seeing all year, basically. Balde, Cubarsí, Inigo Martinez, and Koundé, with Iñaki Peña at the goal. The game started off, I would say that for the first thing that happened in the game, Bayern came out with a high press, and Barca just scored in the first chance of the game, right? Poorly executed. Well, it's debatable whether it's poorly executed, but by pressing, Barca was able to beat that press, and Lewandowski got the ball to Rafinha, who suddenly found himself one-on-one with Neuer, and very cool and calm, Rafinha just was able to cut to the left, dribble past Neuer, and finish, scoring the first goal of the game. Which obviously you start off 1-0 in the first minute. That's always good news. But for the next 20 minutes or so, Bayern was very dominant. They were really controlling the possession. After 20 minutes into the game, Barca had only made 20 passes. So one pass per minute, which is hard to believe. Whereas Bayern at that point had 83 passes completed, almost 4x, which is it's the kind of statistic that as Barca supporters we haven't been used to ever seeing, at least as far as I've been following soccer, which has been over 20 years at this point. And Bayern really was controlling the game. Their coach Vincent Kompany is clearly a disciple of Guardiola. He likes to dominate possession and really control the ball. And he prioritizes that more than Hansi Flick, as we can see also by the stats. Of course, by the end of the game, Bayern had 60% possession. Barca only 40%, which is something that us Barca fans are really not used to seeing. But hey, if it leads to a 4-1 win against Bayern, I can live with it. But I think as Barca supporters, we have to be careful to not extrapolate and think that now it's going to be beating everyone 4 goals to none. Let's not create that kind of expectation because that is not healthy. I think it's good to be realistic and say, hey, it's amazing that we won 4-1, but that should not be the expectation, right? If if worse comes to worse and against Madrid things don't go our way, we should not despair and say this was a mistake. We should just keep going, stay on this path, because I think Barca is showing that Hansi Flick style with our players is very promising. But I got a bit sidetracked here. So back to what I was saying, right? After 20 minutes or so, Bayern was completely dominating possession. They had the control of the ball. And Harry Kane actually tied the game in the 17th minute. I think he had scored previously, but it had been called offside. But yeah, by the 17th minute, we already had 1-1 on the board. And at that point, as a Barca supporter, you felt a bit like, well, now that Bayern has scored, given how dominant they've been, are we going to be able to are we going to be able to score, or is it just going to be another case of Bayern now running over us? But luckily, after that, yeah, things just went our way. At around the 20th minute mark, Barca was finally able to start stringing a few passes together and get the flow of the game going. I thought that Lamine Yamal retaining possession was very important in that sense. Yeah, Lamine Yamal, although he didn't really have although he didn't score any goals today, he did have an assist. One of the things that I really enjoyed seeing is that Lamine Yamal showed that he's a player that has that ability to retain the ball. When the other team is pressing you, give it to Lamine, let him hold on to it, and figure out a solution. Oftentimes, it would require Bayern to put 2, maybe even 3 players on Lamine Yamal to be able to get the ball out of his feet, because that kid is just too good. You cannot take the ball off him. He's just so confident on the ball. So a lot of times when Bayern was pressing us, it was Lamine who was able to retain possession, pause the game, and move the ball around. Between the 20th and 35th minute, both teams kind of slowed down, I would say. Less intensity, probably legs were starting to get tired, and it was kind of more of a balanced game as opposed to the first 20 minutes or so. And in the 37th minute, we kind of got lucky in a play that almost was called off, where Fermin lightly pushed with his forearm Kim Min-jae from Bayern Munich. And the ball ended up with Fermin passing it to an open Lewandowski, who just had to push it in. It could have been called off. I think it was debatable whether that was a foul or not, but luckily for us this time, it was called in our favor, and we had the 2-1 on the board. In the second half, Rafinha scored the 3-1 with an absolute banger. I think that was the one off the assist. A great pass from Lamine Yamal. And Rafinha just controls it, and with 2 players on him, is able to get a right-footed shot, his weak foot, right across Neuer, puts the 3-1 on the board, showing that today luck was just on our side. All our chances were going in. And in the 56th minute, managed to score once again, putting the 4-1 on the board, which would be the last goal of the game. And after Vinicius's, amazing performance yesterday, Rafinha came in today and said, "Vinny who?" I mean, his performance today was just as good, if not better, as Vinicius's performance yesterday. On a side topic, it's kind of interesting how neither of them really performs for Brazil, but that's a topic for a different video. The last 30 minutes for Barca, I would say, was all smiles. From there, we were able to. There wasn't really much danger being generated by Bayern. Barca felt very solid, and we were able to even give minutes to a lot of the players that were returning. In the 60th minute, Frankie de Jong was subbed in for Fermin, and in that situation, De Jong dropped into the midfield with Pedri moving to the 10th position behind the striker. Um, in the 75th minute, Olmo came in for Rafinha, so Olmo, another player coming back from the injury list and being available, so more good news. In the 82nd minute, Barca almost scored the 5-1 across from Lamine, almost found Lewandowski, and a 5-1 would have just been the cherry on the Sunday. Although I can very much live with the 4-1. Then in the 84th minute, we had three more guys sub in: Ansu Fati, Gavi, and Pau Victor going in for Lamine Yamal, Pedri, and Lewandowski, and showing that Barca was just in such a comfortable situation that we were able to give playing time to a lot of players that were returning, and seeing Frankie De Jong, Dani Olmo, and Gavi. That's basically a starting midfield. All of them coming from the bench, all of them recovering. It is very exciting to think about all of the options that we're going to have in the midfield moving forward. In the 90th minute, we had a bit of a scare there. Casado, who really played an amazing game today, was just very solid, reading situations very well defensively. Even though he's undersized for a defender, he's only 5'8", or I think like 175 on the metric scale. Very good defensive player. Reads situations very well, although he's not a big guy by any means. Not big, not muscular, not overtly athletic, but reads situations very well and is able to stay composed and really make the right decisions consistently. In the 90th minute, there was an injury scare. I started fearing the worst. I thought it was another Marc Bernal situation where unfortunately Bernal is going to be out for the remainder of the season. Luckily, that was not the case with Casado. He was able to come back on the pitch and finish the game. So yeah, more good news there. Overall, I wouldn't say this is a game where Barca was extremely dominant over Bayern. By the end of the game, Barca had taken 12 shots to Bayern's 11. Barca had taken 4 shots on target, Bayern 3, which suggests to me this was an even game. I don't think Barca was the clear deserving winner. I would be lying if I said that. It was one of those games that could have gone either way. I think that Barca's, to give you an example, 2 years ago when Barca played in Munich in Xavi's first full season as a coach, not the first season where he came in for Koeman, but in the second one when we played Bayern. I thought in that first game that we played them, we were just as good, if not better, than we were today. It just happened to be the case that game, we missed all the chances that we had. Whereas today, we made them all. 4 out of 4, and not by any means easy chances, especially the third and fourth goals by Rafinha. So I think it was just a matter of Barca being really clinical today. I think the team really deserves an applause, even though I'm saying that Barca was not vastly superior to Bayern. The fact that we were able to win them despite all of the injuries that we had, despite playing with 6 players who were raised by Barca, right? I mean, that's more than half of our team are players that were raised from our youth system, not stars that we signed. And of course, we do have a few of those: Lewandowski, Rafinha, Koundé, Inigo, and Pedri came in for very little money, so they were not expensive signings. But the fact that we're able to do all of this with a team that was mostly developed by Barca, I think, is a big source of pride to us. And yeah, ahead of Madrid's game, again, I'm going to repeat what I said in the beginning. Even though I think today's a day for Barca supporters to celebrate, amazing win. It shows we're on the right track, but I don't think we should create an expectation that we're going to do the same to Real Madrid. As Barca supporters, we should not go into the next game expecting massacre. Let's not expect Barca to beat Madrid 4-0 or anything like that because Madrid's going to be a very difficult team to beat. I think that the way that we play, where our defensive line is very high up and we take a lot of chances, and a lot of times there's well, most of the time there's a lot of space to run behind the back of our defenders. This is a situation that Madrid has the players to exploit, having guys like Vinicius, Mbappe. I mean, pretty much everyone on the team. I could start naming players, and I'd be naming half the team. I think Madrid's going to have a lot of one-on-one situations, and if it's the case that they end up scoring a lot of goals on us on Saturday, which I certainly hope is not the case. But if it does happen, that's okay, right? We've got the rest of the season, and it's important for us to be focused on everything that lies ahead. Be focused on the team that we're building and the potential that this team has, because I really think this team has tremendous potential. And if we can give the team stability, if we can keep Hansi Flick with these players, this core group of the youngsters, players that were developed in La Masia, who are just doing a great job at implementing Hansi Flick's style. And now that we're getting players coming back from injuries, and hopefully within the next couple of months, we're also going to have Christensen and Araujo come back. Well, I think Barca has a lot of reasons to be really excited because, especially with Araujo, that's going to give us a lot more defensive security. Yeah, and it's not that Inigo Martinez hasn't been good. It's just that Araujo, of course, is a different level, right? His ability to correct situations is unmatched by any defenders, in my opinion. In terms of rating our players and how everyone did, starting with the attacking line, Rafinha, I got to rate Rafinha 10 out of 10 with what he did because he won us the game. Without Rafinha, this could have gone either way, but Rafinha absolutely clinical, scoring absolute bangers, tremendous energy and intensity, clinical. I have only words of praise for him. What an amazing player. I'll have to do a video later about whether Nico Williams would even be a step up over Rafinha if we decided to go that way. Lewandowski, I thought was okay. I would rate his performance a 7 out of 10. Scored our second goal, which was mostly a push goal, but he didn't really interfere in the game that much. So I'm going to give him a solid 7. Lamine Yamal, I think Lamine probably deserves a good 7.5. He didn't do that much in the final third, but Lamine Yamal, in addition to getting the assist to Rafinha, was really important in helping retain possession in situations where we were being pressed and where he had 2, 3 guys on him, and he was just holding on to the ball, being able to pause the game and resist the pressure for Bayern. So I'll rate Lamine a 7.5 out of 10. With Fermin, I'm going to give Fermin also a solid 7, maybe even 7 out of 5 because he did get the assist for Lewandowski's goal. I thought he was a solid all game, gave very good energy. So yeah, good 7 out of 5. Casado, I will give Casado an 8. I thought Casado was very good today. He does the silent work that people don't notice, right? He's been compared a lot, by Barca supporters to Joshua Kimmich, who he was playing against today at Bayern. And he's just one of those players who are very correct, that reads situations very well. And it's really a blessing to be able to have him on the team, especially with all the injuries that the team has had. And I think as of now, De Jong is going to have to earn his place back because Casado has been at a very good level. And it's been a relief that he did not get injured at the end of the game. Pedri, I thought was at an 8 again. Also, Just a tremendous job overall. Every time Pedri has the ball, he always knows how to slow things down, and just helps the team control the ball very well, and just has an unmatched quality on the ball. Yeah, that's about all I've got on Pedri. On the defense, Balde was I thought he was very solid defensively. In fact, for all of our defense, I'm gonna rate every player I thought was at an 8, because even though we were taking a lot of risk defensively with that very high line, the team did a very good job of correcting situations. I thought everyone was very good in that sense, in making sure that Bayern didn't get any clear chances. In fact, Bayern's best opportunities really came in the first 20 minutes, one of them being Kane's goal, and the other being Kane's goal that was called off. But other than that, Bayern really didn't have too many clear chances, and that's because our defensive line was very focused all throughout the game. So yeah, that's about it for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video and want to keep up with my thoughts on Barca, hit subscribe and let me know your thoughts on the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next one.